Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, Alegria Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream show and podcast from expatsportugal.com. How are you? Yeah, incidentally, if you want to drop me a line, Carl at expatsportugal.com. And I would like to remind you that if you want to become a premium or premium plus member, lots of benefits with both. The latter gives you a handhold step-by-step approach to get to Portugal if you want to accelerate your plans and work directly with me and other wonderful members of our community. And you can pay for it monthly. Both premium and premium plus subscription plans are now available monthly if that suits you better. Big discounts if you pay for them in one go, but you can also pay monthly if that works out for you better. Anyway, Wednesday, as you can see on the ticker tape, Ask Anything About Portugal Wednesday. Doc is here at around 9 o'clock, live from a lay-by in Leiria, or wherever he happens to be, of course, and your comments in the chat, and they've already begun. And I just want to ask you, before we go to those, and before we settle into a nice, easy, relaxed, leisurely show this morning, although who knows what might happen in the next 90 minutes. Like a game of football, isn't it? With no half time, often extra time. Now, this was sent in by Tech Cowboy yesterday, and you can see why he gets his name, Tech Cowboy. I think there's all sorts of reasons for that, but this will certainly be one of them. And this is how Tech Cowboy watches the show. Slightly, concerning to me that somebody might put goggles on to watch this. Beer goggles, yes. Virtual reality goggles. This is a whole new world. And I think this is perhaps at the lower end of the age range of the demographic for Gumpers. Unless I'm wrong, and you're all there like a scene from The Matrix, watching the Good Morning Portugal live stream on devices like this. And this is your view. Darren, what happens? You put the goggles on, and you immerse yourself in your technological world where you can just touch the various icons there, take an incoming call for somebody, watch the show. Is that what's going on here in that kind of wraparound style there that you have in your home? I believe in Canada, but it could be anywhere. It could be anywhere. Anybody else? I mean, we used to get pictures, didn't we, of people watching the show or proudly displaying their Good Morning Portugal mugs, in the kitchen, on the laptop or whatever. This is a new level of consuming the show and viewing the show and taking part, isn't it? Immersive. And have you got a whole bodysuit, Darren, whereby you can actually feel the show as well? Sometimes that's going to be okay. Other times it's going to be quite awkward, I suspect. Day 3 of the Vitality in Action. And I do have some information for you this morning. Life hacks. A fad check, right? Not fact check. When eating with gloves on, it can reduce your food intake and therefore the calories. You won't eat so much because you're eating slower and it's more uncomfortable. So you won't eat as much, and the benefits are obvious there, aren't they? It's intermittent fasting, everybody. Okay, more dad jokes to come. More horribly contrived humor to come this morning. No question about that. That's how we roll here on the Good Morning Portugal show. Baldylocks was in. What time was that? 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock this time. Hour and a half ago. That's amazing. Chris also here. Morning, Baldylocks. Morning, Chris. Hola, bon dia todos. Faja do dia, Light of the World, London Town. Oh, yeah. That is based on the Japanese jazz funk classic, isn't it? LA Nights, I think. Dedicated to Rebel Mama after her successful dance trip to London. Yes, this is 80s Brit funk royalty. Check out the bass line. Ding, 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 ding. Bung, 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 bung. And yes, that's a little bit nichey. Let's come out of that niche, as enjoyable as it is, Chris. Thank you very much. Light of the World there and London Town. They're still rocking it to this day, aren't they? A lot of the lineup in there. Heavily brass-led. A nice, is it called a brass section? Yeah, not a wind section. That's different, isn't it? None of that this morning. Thank you. Suze, good morning, Gumpers. Changing studded to summer tires. Well, hey, in Finland, prematurely. Ooh. And a tune-up for my van, while sipping gratis Cafe Ole. Oh, I see. So whilst you're in the mechanics there, getting your tires changed over, they gave you a Cafe Ole to keep you going. Now, when you talk about Van Gogh, I want to talk about Victoria's entry to Vitality in Action this morning. Just let me download that because it's excellent. And if you want to rediscover your creativity, you can do that with Victoria from our very own community here. Oh, WhatsApp, what's up with you this morning? A little bit sluggish, I think. If you want to send anything to me on WhatsApp, 913-590-303. I think that's inside. That's on the screen for you there right now as I speak. I forgot about name change. So back to Sue's this morning. How's it going for you? It sounds like a roller coaster ride in that van with its summer tires on. Good morning from Andrew. Good morning to you, Andrew. How are you? And a bon dia from Deagle. Enough blue in the sky to patch a hole in a sailor's coat. Isn't that a lovely turn of phrase? It's going to be a nice day. Belfast, not a cloud in the sky, where we got 16 degrees yesterday. Shorts, tops, sandals weather here. So let's have a look at that. Thank you for sending in your picture this morning. And this was of Deagle doing his memorize, 15 minutes a day, everybody, whilst others have fallen by the wayside. Deagle has conscientiously been learning Portuguese. Don't forget, Friday, of course, we'll have Mia with us talking to us about learning Portuguese, both language and culture. Tune in on Friday for that. Oh, and tomorrow, Thursday, Vitor Costa, our man in the north, will be with us. Mondial Gria Gumpers, Stephen Wright says. And I'm so glad to have introduced Bill Hicks to you, T-Duck. It's just a ride, man. It's just a ride. Stephen Wright quote of the day: a clear conscience is usually the sign of a bad memory. Oh, okay. George Carlin quote of the day: isn't it a bit unnerving that doctors... I'm starring that. Let's put that to the doc at 9 o'clock this morning, shall we? Or thereabouts when he joins us. Yes, what's that all about, Doc? Andy Thompson used to be a GP in the UK and will be with us around 9 o'clock, addressing your ailments and anything to do with living in Portugal, as he has done for a little while now. Oh, I'm talking about living in Portugal tomorrow. Have I got this in my picture deck? I don't think I do, but tomorrow's webinar, is it Thursday already tomorrow? Oh my goodness. Well, it's Wednesday today, so I'm guessing it must be Thursday tomorrow. Just landed. Did they realize their dreams? That's our webinar tomorrow. And it's going to be a lot of fun because we've got some people who've offered to talk to us about their experiences, and others who I'm still reeling in to do that. But I think it's going to be quite an open plan approach tomorrow night, with all sorts of people chipping in about their recent experiences of coming to Portugal. So I look forward to that tomorrow evening, 7:30. Book up on our website, expatsportugal.com. The prof is in. Bom dia, serei só amante de cabelo comprido de Liverpool. Something about a Liverpool hairdresser, which reminds me, I think I'm going to just do this once this morning. I know I probably do it more than once, but this is certainly, you have been warned, okay?
Warning.
Oh no! Yes. Is this to do with that joke about the Liverpool hairdresser who? Now, how do I put this correctly? She became a hairdresser because she studied Arabic and learnt Urdu. There's only one thing worse than a bad joke, and it's a badly told dad joke. Bad joke, from dad joke to bad joke there. You can make the connection. Urdu is how Liverpool people say hairdo. Urdu, Arabic. Anyway, today in Portuguese history, let's move on. 1956, Zé Manuel Barroso is born. Barroso was leader of PSD. I didn't quite know who that was. In fact, I didn't know at all who that was. And I thought it was an orchestra conductor there to the bottom left of your picture. Barroso was leader of PSD from 1999 to 2004 and the 115th Prime Minister of Portugal in April 2002. Thank you. He became, says the prof, the 11th President of the European Commission. That's why I know his name. In November 2004, he oversaw the signing of the Lisbon Treaty. Where did that get signed then? Including the infamous Article 50, of the Treaty on the European Union that allowed Brexit. At the time, the inoffensive Article 50. No one's going to need that. And then some years later, look, triggered in so many ways. An economic neoliberal politician, Barroso became the non-executive chairman of London-based Goldman Sachs International of 2016. And you say a lot by not saying too much about that. I think, therefore, Senor Barroso, he would obviously make a good chair, wouldn't he? Would he not, of the European Commission? Sorry, president. And also a very good chair of London-based Goldman Sachs as a neoliberal politician. Is what it's all about, isn't it? Thunder Duck. I wonder if we should mention that to the doc. No, let's not go there. Groucho Marx quote of the day. Wow, learn from the mistakes of others. You can never live long enough to make them all yourself. Good advice. Very good. Oh, and look at this. And the Harpo Marx quote of the day. See what he did there? Very good. Karl Marx quote of the day. Sell a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you ruin a wonderful business opportunity. I don't think he said that. Beholder of the likes, Lycus Maximus. I am Lycus Maximus. Today, let's all hit the like button as soon as we log on. That way we can really help the channel. It's almost becoming like a charity, isn't it? Come on. Listeners and viewers required, no experience necessary. Fondle the like button, hit the like button. Or Karl Marx quote of the day: history repeats itself, first as a tragedy, second as a farce. Yes, thank you, Prof. Chipping in there. University. Oh, and we should have had this on the screen. I have had news. The remix of A Portuguesa, the national anthem that got me into some trouble copyright wise, is being worked upon. I am so looking forward to that. Sorry, that's the one I'm not meant to play. Yikes. Here it is. I wonder, let's check later on to see if that's enough music for YouTube for these robots to pick up on and give me yet another copyright strike there. This is it. There it is without the music. Hum along your own version of the Portuguese national anthem where you are, please. There you go. Doomed to repeat the history we don't talk about today. Probably will, won't we? Was it history doesn't repeat itself, it just rhymes? I think T-Duck told me that. University of Florida has just renamed the Karl Marx study room. What has it been renamed to? Following the invasion of Ukraine, Karl Marx was a German, plus the University of Florida had a Karl Marx room. Yeah, it's bizarre, that story, isn't it? That'll teach somebody something, won't it, doing that? Chris Smith, hola, bon dia, Gumpers. Well, hopefully it's a discussion point, isn't it? Which they could have had the discussion without renaming the room. That's what I want to know. Who has the name been renamed after? The Tony Blair study room? That'll be taken down in years to come. You mark my words. Hola, bon dia, Gumpers. We land in Lisbon this Sunday. Woohoo! Yes, woohoo indeed, Chris Smith, who you will have noted has been listening a lot more and watching. And so this is like foreplay for him as he prepares himself for a full-on encounter with Portugal. If you're looking for a dangerous Russian-born philosopher who inspired oligarchies around the world, that'd be Ayn Rand. Russian-born, I didn't know that about Ayn Rand there. It gets a bad rep, doesn't he? Old Ayn Rand. You're probably should we talk about Ayn Rand with you and the doc a little bit later on this morning? A whole new world awaits you, Chris Smith. Yes, it does indeed. Not by reading Ayn Rand, I don't suppose. And if I remember for Chris from the early days of the Man Cave, I don't think on his holiday reading list. I first always hit the thumb on any of the Portugal family shows and then watch Interaction. Ooh, he's there. Lycus Maximus, a man after your own heart. Deagle, again here, saying, here, you're all enjoying the rain in Portugal. We're day 5, no rain, creeping up to the middle high teens. All right. Try selling umbrellas. Never miss a trick in business. Yes, we've never missed an opportunity to be exploited by that. We've got so many umbrellas here now in the house. We perhaps should sell them. Yes, okay, turn that round. Get onto the other side of the counter. Kate's here. Deagle, we've got your weather today. It's so true. The dogs didn't even want to go out this morning. You know it's been raining a long time when the dogs just won't come out of their kennel in the morning. Portuguese style, outside. But they are on the little bit of the patio by the back door, undercover. Don't worry about that. And it's a bon dia, Carl and friends, from Kate this morning. I'll see you later, I hope, Kate, for the second day running. A photo. Yes, got your photo. Just showed it there with your 15 minutes on Memrise as well. I've got 60 days and 59 sleeps. Still I'm back in Portugal. We love these countdowns. People desperate to be back here. Second of 3 trips out. Once I'm home, I start counting for October, then February. Circle of Portugal. Wow, amazing, Deagle. How do you get over Portugal blues when you return? Feature alert here. How do you get over the Portugal blues when you get home? You book another trip. He answers his own question here. You ask anything about Portugal. First question in, how do you get over the Portugal blues when you return home after your trip? You book another trip before you return home. That way you always have trips in the bank. Yay! 1 year I booked 10 trips in a row. Wow! You might as well live here. I mean, basically, you live here, don't you, Chris? And you pop back to the UK occasionally, by the sound of it. I land on the 11th of April to receive my freight. That is not a euphemism, and it sounds very formal. It sounds like something from an earlier century, doesn't it? I shall be returning to Portugal, to Lusitania, on the 11th of April, whereupon I shall receive my freight. Mark my words, gentlemen. Hang out for a week and return one last time to Blighted. Not Blighty, but Blighted. I think you've done that on purpose. Sailing to Santander early July. Con caro. I was going back for a few more bits with the car. It's a plan. Sorry, in a row even. No, not in a row, not in a row, not in a wow even. In a row, that should have been. I knew that. Coach Turner, great hack yesterday, and there will be more to come from Coach Turner. Gentle fitness, vitality in action, day 3. We're aiming to be back in the Algarve in October, November, then March again. Then, gentlemen, we shall march again. Eat, drink, and be merry. Feast tonight, for tomorrow we shall march. Have a great day, everyone. I have to be a wage slave again. What happened to us? What happened to us? Free human beings suffering the indignity of work. Today is our last day here. We will miss it. Oh, no, but not the rain. At least we were able to see what bad weather looks like here. Yeah, there is that. Nice reframing, Carlos and Lisa. And we still have the picture in the picture deck of when you were hanging out with James. I think we do. Anyway, let me just see if I can find that and pop that to where it can be seen this morning. Oh, it seems to have disappeared into the pile of pics. Here we go. There we go. Let's take the comment off the screen. James, you there? Hippie slug. Whichever slug manifestation, super slug, with your super slimy powers. There you go. Lisa, James, and Carlos in the picture by the Ericeira Surfer there. Ericeira. So last day here today, and maybe you can join us on Thursday and talk about your recent experience. It'd be great if you could do that. James may well be there himself on Thursday. 10,000 steps before 7 o'clock this morning. Everyone's doing something on it. This springiness is in this, isn't it? Seems to blow the cobwebs out for sure. Feeling very awake and alert. Yeah, my early starts, I'm really enjoying, Chris, I have to say, as well. If you're not doing that, if you're not feeling great at the moment, we're here for you as well. Okay, remember that. Reach out to somebody in the community. Don't struggle and suffer alone. People going on about, getting up early and doing this, that, and the other, and fitness hacks, what have you, 10,000 steps, meditating, blah, yoga. It's all very well and it's all very good and we're enjoying it. But for some people, just getting out of bed in the morning is difficult at the moment. If we can help you at all, we can't come around and help you out of bed personally. Well, if you live locally, maybe, I don't know. But we're here. We're here for you on a sort of moral, spiritual, and well-being basis. Okay, no one needs struggle in the Good Morning Portugal community. Reach out and we'll find a way of supporting you and having you get back into the feel-good zone. We will miss Portugal and everyone from here. I mean, you had an amazing trip. If you want to put into the comments your itinerary just briefly, if you do it in towns, that'll be amazing. I'd love to see that if you can be bothered to do that. It's going to take quite a while. Bon dia, Carlos. See, look, you were there. You were in Lisbon. Pleasure to meet you and have lunch yesterday. That's so 2 weeks running of meetups for the Ducks and Carlos and Lisa there. Morning all from Owen. How you doing, mate? Owen, you're very welcome with your dulcet tone, sir. And of course, our Feel Good Friday, whoa, vocalist. Don't worry, it's not Feel Good Friday. It's only Wednesday. It's Ask Anything About Portugal Wednesday, whoa. Owen, if you ever want to send in a smoking message in the mornings, you're welcome to do that and I will play it. You might have already done that. I see I've got some alerts for WhatsApp. Antonio F is here. Bon dia todos. Anna Olsen is here. Bon dia from a rainy, not surprising, VRSA. No pictures from Hannah for a day or two. I think she might be stuck inside in the rain or out of the rain, stuck inside. Bon dia, Owen. Hit the like button. Wow, straight in there. He's not messing about. Live button hit before commenting, Chris. Yeah, Chris. Lycus Maximus is getting right in your grill if you haven't pressed the like or fondled the like button. We haven't had an erotic novel entry. There's one for you. He fondled his like button in the morning. Good morning from sunny Cape Town. Jeff Owen, good morning to you. And Moaz is here. Bon dia, meus amigos. And Prabhu Krishnan. Good morning, sir. That's a lovely picture of the sunshine coming through your bicycle there. And where is that lovely picture taken, Prabhu? Great to have you here this morning. And good morning to you. Bon dia, Carl, and everyone from Michelle in Australia. Marvellous. I think there are certain names that bring the girls and boys to the yard. The Doc is one of them. La bon dia, kids, from a lovely rainy Praia de Rocha. How's Australia, Michelle? How's Praia de Rocha this morning, Victoria? I've been talking about you already. Jacqueline Branco also here. I think rain stopped play. Maybe Jacqueline's in for a little while before she pops out. Doing good works around the area. How easy is it to continue being a pescatarian? The cod botherers of the world. Pescatarian in Portugal. Well, bacalhau. One recipe for every day at least. I think you're going to be fine as a pescatarian. Although going on what my dear colleague Jerry says, and not feeling so great at the moment, Jerry, get well soon, mate. And could we send lots of love to Jerry, please, in the comments this morning? A little bit under the weather. So please send all your best greetings to Jerry. And he may well be listening this morning. And I'm sure he'll be glad to receive those. He won't like a fuss, but I'm sure he'll be glad to receive a few nice greetings from us this morning. How easy is it to continue being a pescatarian? Do you know what? Andy is a vegetarian. I'm very partial to fish. What I was going to say about Jerry was that he says in central Portugal, it's hard to get fish. So if you want to be a pescatarian, I'm thinking the coast is going to be better for you. SP, tell us more about yourself if you'd like to. Herodius Maximus, all hail Herodius Maximus. He enters the forum now. Morning, everyone. I hope you're well. Carl, congrats on the 10K. We'll be back next month, I promise. Yeah, whatever. Tomorrow night, how are you feeling about that tomorrow night, Michael Herodius Maximus? The big fixture, of course. Portugal play Turkey. And it's they need to win this, don't they, to stay in with a chance of being in the World Cup. And then they've got to beat Macedonia, is it, or Italy? Oh, it's not an easy road to the World Cup. And actually, the World Cup is weird this year, isn't it? I mean, playing in 2000 Fahrenheit, it's going to be a strange one and a big sort of political hoo-ha behind the World Cup this year. But I mean, I guess you could say that about any sporting event now, can't you? Show me a sporting event that's free of any political undertones. You basically you can't. I'm not even going to finish that sentence. Bon dia, Victoria. Or maybe Crown Green Bowling. I was going to say darts down the pub, but that gets political, doesn't it? Prabhu, Disa, can you please me about, I'll do my best, about documents processing time. Okay. Well, it depends. As if I may quote Gilda, it depends. Probably where are we talking about? Which process, which country? And it is probably better suited to the professionals. Ask that on just in your comment, Ian. It's best to ask that on a Monday, but we will do our best. We can talk from our experience here, but not our professional capacity, Prabhu. Okay, Ian, this is going back to just 5 minutes after the show started, and we're already 20 minutes in now. No, 3D months. And if you weren't here earlier on, Darren in Canada watches it on VR. I mean, that's not good, is it? Look at that. I mean, it's good for him, but I'm saying it's not good to see me in 3 dimensions, you know? Some people prefer just to have the pictures off and just hear it. And then they come back and see a picture if it's worth looking at. So let's talking of looking at pictures, and I need to issue another dad joke warning, and we'll do more of your comments and quips. Very quippy. Very quick, Mr. Quippy. Mr. Quippy. That's another name for T-Duck, isn't it? Before we move on, we need to say hello to Sarah. Don't miss the tubo. You'll be so close. Yeah, this is for Chris, and for SP, you have hit the fish mother load. That's one way of putting it. So SP, you're going to be fine for fish in Portugal. You really are. Portuguese people love their fish, and they love their meat as well. What? Carl, boo. Why am I being booed now? Was that the joke? There's worse to come, I promise you. And I'm going to play it. Okay, you asked for it, Victoria. Well, you didn't, but I'm going to give it to you anyway because you've got the boo ready for this little video I want to play you. Roll that VT.
Well, here's something you don't see every day in Portugal. Reindeer. Oh, I messed that up. I could have just said, what did What did Santa say when he looked out the window? Looks like reindeer. I guess you've heard that before. Dear me. But you cost a lot of dough, didn't you? They're everywhere. Once you start looking, interestingly, let me just poke my camera through there. A couple more over there inside a shelter.
Dad, some are eating the green bit.
They are. They're having a little bit of a green... Maybe they're still celebrating St. Patrick's Day. We're having some green water. Well, that's quite amazing. There's a little duck over there as well, isn't there? Let's go and see this one with the big antlers. Might be the daddy.
That's too bad.
The two daddies.
Isn't that beautiful, Dad?
It's very beautiful. Well spotted, Minnie. Minnie saw these first. But you see the one in the distance has got its antlers sawn off. And this guy nearest to us has got a really good set of antlers. Amazing. Very peaceful, aren't they? Until we came along, that was.
Dad, you missed one over here.
Isn't that great? Reindeer in Nazaré. And if I can, I'll come back to that because I'm going to ask Doc if he's seen reindeer in Nazaré. Anybody else seen that? I expect Chris has, because Chris is a big Nazaré fan. And I think, thinking about it, Victoria was booing my intermittent fasting joke. In case you missed it, I'm going to give this to you again. Just on the screen briefly. You don't want to overdo this sort of thing, do you? But this is a sort of help you get over at a 50 plus vitality. In fact, eating with gloves on can reduce food intake. That'll be intermittent fasting. It doesn't improve. Some jokes improve with age. That's not one of them, everybody. Michelle, Sarah, Gemini's here. Good morning, everyone. Just popping in. I'm now doing a job working from home, so it clashes with your broadcast. What? This is outrageous. That's why I've not been able to join. But I can view later. And look at this. Someone else coming to our aid. Just had a... Oh, Owen, you did send me a voice message this morning. Am I able to play that over the airwaves without causing any offense to anybody? I wonder. I can't just play that without asking you that, just in case it was a very personal and private message. But this came in on WhatsApp. Hello, sir. How are you? I watched your live. It's excellent, but your live viewers is very few. We are small but perfectly formed. It doesn't say what your name is. I think you need to increase your live viewers and followers, because more viewers and followers make your page popular and profitable. If you want to increase all this, please call or text me. Thank you. Well, that's a nice message to receive this morning. I'm actually quite happy with our lovely community here. You know, I think it's going to grow. It's all grown organically. It's grown very nicely. I do appreciate it, absolutely, when you are asking each other to fondle your like buttons, etc. in the morning. And who doesn't like to fondle their like button in the morning? But it's okay, folks. I think we're a beautiful side. It's not how big we are. It's what we do with it that counts, right? And we are here to support each other. We do that. And sometimes we get to 3 figures in the morning. We certainly get into, 400, 500, sometimes 4 figures on the recordings. I'm perfectly happy. I mean, my ego would like this to be much huger, of course. But when I think about it, when we're here in the mornings, I just love doing this. I love being here, and I think we should enjoy this while it lasts, because it may get bigger, and there may be all sorts of changes in the future. But here we are, enjoying the moment of being together in such what I feel to be such great fraternity, and not in a sexist way. I can't say maternity, can I? Because that would bring a whole new dimension to the show. We're doing great. We're doing great here, aren't we? And I think we are here for each other. And what I really love, regardless of scale and size, is the commitment people have. The people here, I'm here every morning. I see other people are pretty much too, as well, you regulars. And I really do thank you for that. Quality over quantity. The quantity, I think, will come. We've just hit 10,000 subscribers after all. Where you been, hippie slug? Bon dia, Gumpers. Feliz Catatoros. Como tem pasado? You missed a lot this morning, including a picture of yourself with Carlos and Lisa, who are heading home. Although, no, that was only 8:36. What am I saying? It's 9 o'clock in real time. That was 8:36. So you've been here for ages. If I had a bookstore, I would make all the mystery novels hard to find. Yay, Dimitri Martin there. Saw a picture of what's he called? Stephen. What's he called? The guy, we quote him every morning. Stephen Wright. Wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting somebody who looked like an occasional jazz musician, although he does in another sense. But I thought he'd be quite smart and have a suit on, and maybe one of those turtlenecks, and just sitting there like Bill Murray at a bar, coming out with these one-liners. Okay, where did we get to there? We got to Hippie Slug, didn't we? And the doc will be joining us soon. Fine art makes my van go. Dad joke warning. And we've had that already this morning, but I think there's going to be more to come, especially with, can you imagine what the doc's dad jokes are like? James, you started. You're on a roll there, mate. Keep it going. Yes, let's see what we can do. It was T-Duck's turn yesterday. Olaf and g'day from Sam Nazare as well. I did ask you before, Sam, where is that lovely place in the picture on your YouTube profile, if you don't mind telling us again? That's indeed if you answered the question first time round. Bon dia todos from Jean. Now, Jean has sent in a picture as well. Very beautiful one, New Jersey. And here it is. Well, we're used to seeing you in the countryside, Jean, aren't we, by the sea? This one is a picture. It's Starbucks that we've talked about from time to time on here. And we've also talked about good coffee here on the Good Morning Portugal show. Doc will be here in a while. He just sent a message. He's running a little bit late. And Jean, let me see. Where are you in the scheme of things this morning of sending things into this? I've lost you, Jean. Oh, no, spring blooms on Westwood Avenue. That's beautiful, isn't it? Look at those lovely, the spring blossom there on Westwood Avenue. Westwood. That looks really lovely, and some lovely Portuguese blue skies there that you're being reminded of there in the sky behind you, Jean. Thank you very much for that. Let's just remove that for the moment. And oh yes, I want to let you know as well, a Silver Coast meetup weekly from 1 till 3 today, of course, and looking forward to meeting a few people from the community garden that I'm hoping we'll get together and create here in San Martino de Porto. So yes, Silver Coast meetup. If you want the template for doing that where you live, if you want a little weekly meetup, get to hang out with people, do make sure, do what you can to invite Portuguese folks along. And of course, if you possibly can, do it in a Portuguese establishment where you can boost the coffers and spend a load of money and put it into the local economy. Yeah, indie shop's probably best, right? Rather than the Starbucks style there. Rebel Mama's in. Olá, os meus gente. Sup? Tudo bem? I have a bad cold from my Londres trip. Not COVID because I took a test. My nose won't stop running. Lol. A lot of that around at the moment, isn't there, Rebel Mama? And only to be expected as well, isn't it? I think, or as a very strong possibility. When you're hanging out in a sweaty club in another country and you've been flying around the place, yes, your body picks up a few things to deal with to make you stronger for the future. Caffeine in my coffee today. Oh, watch out, everybody. This could get messy. The pleasure was all ours, says Carlos to T-Duck. Good food, good conversation, and great company. We are so fortunate. And yes, this is what I've noticed. That's a really good way of putting it, and it would be lovely in Latin that perhaps we have that with our Gumper not badge of honor, what's it called? Coat of arms. Yes, good food, good conversation, and great company. You can't go far wrong, can you? Portugal, the place for that. I was rocking a little Jimmy Osmond vibe this morning, Carl. I'm trying to think. What? To what are you referring there? One Bad Apple? That was one of theirs. That was one of their better tunes, wasn't it? Oh, Liverpool, of course. Long-haired lover from Liverpool. There we go. Carl, the Urdu joke was funny, but Urdu is not Arabic. I thought I was going to get myself. I thought my ignoramus self was going to get me in. How do I tell that joke? Please, how do I tell that joke in a way that is technically correct and still funny? Please, I need your pointers on that. Help me. Slightly different. Was speaking to someone in Belfast yesterday. They said it's 41 months to see an orthopedic consultant for a potential hip replacement, as it is bad in Portugal as we come out of COVID. Okay, so this is the pandemic aftermath, is it, in the waiting lists over there? Oh dear. And Rebel Mama, London can do that to you. Hope you didn't catch it from us. Distancing himself from the germs somewhat there. And Jeff Owen laughing at something or other. Bill Hicks is funny. Saw him live once in a small and intimate club. That is a memory to treasure. I know talking of London, I think one of his most memorable gigs from which we see clips to this very day, right, is shot in a London club. Londoners and Brits loved Bill Hicks. He had a special relationship, didn't he, with the Brits? They liked his sense of humour. Thank you, Margaret, for this. What's the weather like today and how's it going at the weekend? Or is it, how is the weather going to be at the weekend? Is that when you're flying out, Margaret Duff? We're going to start that as we'll come back to that when Doc is here. And don't worry, Doc. Sorry, don't worry, Coach. So many professionals here in the audience. Probably got it from the 6,000 kids at the rave. Yes, there's a good chance to that, isn't there? They say learn from your mistakes. Can I can I stop learning now, please? Probably not. Not that you make lots of mistakes. You're just human. That's all. Jim McDonald, bon dia gumpers from Tavira. Just a quick stop by to say good morning before heading back to the apartment to get back to getting all of our stuff set up and put away. Have a great day. Oh, good luck with that, Jim. Have great fun. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the journey, of course. And Ms. Ayn Rand, I didn't know that. I only know the name. I've never read any Ayn Rand, but I just know that Ayn Rand pushes buttons. I often think it would be great to live in blissful ignorance of everything, but not so much that I would want to move to Florida. Oh, Pete, just popping in. And they don't call it Florida. Come on, easy, everybody, this morning. We know where this sort of talk ends up. Putin served under a communist Soviet Union, not really a democracy. Then he came to power as a Russian president, not really a democracy, only a super rich dictator now. I wonder why we're putting that in there this morning, Gary, but you're welcome. Recently found out the statue is called the Ericeira Surfer Guardian, overlooking the Ericeiran seas. It's like a patron saint of surfing there. He's a variation, this fella here, of Grateful Slug for the Grateful Dead. Yes, I mean, T-Duck on our music show on Monday night introduced me to the Grateful Dead, who I only know, a bit like Ayn Rand, I only know in name and not in and I know people will be thinking, Carl, you don't know the Grateful Dead. That's outrageous. It's true. And, you know, I have massive gaps in my, I have massive gaps all over my knowledge, my education, and that's what we're here for, to help each other, aren't we, in that respect? And T-Duck did that for me on Monday evening. Join us for that music show, 7:30 Monday evenings, erotic novel entry now. Confused, she asked him what he was doing with his thumb, to which he replied, I'm touching the like button on Good Morning Portugal, of course. It's here somewhere. Since Saturday, thank you, James. The Azores, especially Saint George Island, felt the earth shake 1,800 times. What? Although only some 100 were felt by the population. No damage yet. Pretty scary, right? And when you read that the Azores have experienced, this is if you're a newspaper editor or writer, you would say they have had 1,800 earthquakes in 24 hours, which I think is a headline I saw, something along those lines. Although only 100 were perceivable but that's enough, isn't it? I mean, that is enough to the human spirit, I think, to experience that amount of shaking in only a few hours. So love and thoughts for the people of the Azores. Remember, I suspect as well, you've got to put it in context. We live in a contextless society, and I'm as guilty of that as anybody, right? What is the context for that? How many do they have on a given a normal week of shakes and quakes there? That's what I'd like to know. I'm not doubting you one bit, Antonio F, and we thank you for that information. And we that has us concerned for the people of the Azores there. But what's it normally like? Is it seasonal as well? Is that something that happens on a sort of a regular seasonal basis as well? I wonder. Maybe you can help with that. Douglas Hughes, good morning from Damp Lagoa. An unexpected trip. Well, I never, Douglas Hughes. Welcome back to Portugal. Bon dia, Alegria, from a rather soggy Nadaduru, slept in this morning. Yep. I can understand why you would do that this morning. We had a very slow and leisurely day. Did get out to the barber shop, though. Found myself a new barber. Well, it's the husband of the hairdresser I normally go to in San Martino. She couldn't see me yesterday while I was out and about on errands. She phoned her husband, drive over to Alfazarão, she said. And I did, and I was there in a few minutes, and I met the wonderful Batiste Barbera at Alfazarão, and had a great chat with him. The barbers have beer here. Not that I had one, but there was a fridge full of Sagres behind me. It was a great atmosphere in there. And he used to be in a band. Seeing you, Carl, in only 3D is way too limiting. Oh, you're too kind. Is there a 5D sort of multiplex, multiverse version available, I wonder? Wow, a hat trick of dad jokes. Yes, indeed. Be careful, everybody. Love the way that the deer just look at you. I'll send photos of Mrs. C feeding them. Wow. So you do know them. And Gary, amazing you go on about playing with your like button in the morning and get away with it. I show a picture of an erotic looking fruit and the roof falls in on me. Yes, again, it's all about context, Gary, isn't it? They shed their antlers. Okay, so it wasn't a sawn off. It was actually a shedding of the antlers. Wow. I wonder what lucky person found those. Morning, people from Able. Mini heat wave here in Perthshire. What? That's not meant to happen, is it? For the rest of the week, 16 degrees today. And on that, I don't know if I can make a connection between Perthshire and the doc, but here he is on your screens. A sight for sore eyes this morning. How are you in rainy Leiria by the look of it, Doc?
Hello, bom dia, todos. Yes, it's very rainy. I'm in Marinha Grande, having had to undergo an unexpected school run this morning.
Oh.
Hence my slight tardiness. But there we are.
No problem at all. It's great to see you. It feels like it's been a long time. I think last time you were here, you were sharing the screen with my mother, weren't you? Or was it the Doc?
Your mother and Doug, yeah.
Wow.
No,
sorry.
no, Doug. Your mother was the time before.
Well, I never. Incredible,
Yeah.
incredible. And it's great to have you back. What have you been up to?
Good question.
None of my business.
My divorce came through last week. That was good. What else? Not a lot. Just trying to sort out financing this house. Now I'm free to transact things important without worrying about the past relationships back home. Yeah.
Yes, and we can say, can't we? Because we love Leona. We're not talking about we're talking
No,
about
nothing to do there. No.
we're talking about a much earlier romantic liaison, aren't we?
Indeed. Separated 6 years ago, long time ago. So.
Okay, all right. This came while you were appearing on a screen. Not for you, I don't think, from Carlos M. I think he's excited to see James on the screen. And what is this intimate fasting? Oh, actually, that's probably the first question, because we have been giving, follow us for life hacks at 50 plus vitality. Here was one of them this morning. And it is my contention that if you eat with gloves on, that will reduce your food intake, which of course is intermittent fasting. But however, Chris is referring to intermittent fasting. Is that an approach you would put yourself behind? What do you think of that? I think starvation's an awful idea.
Well, okay. So you can certainly lose weight if you starve yourself. That's
we're starving of bandwidth here for a moment. And it's funny, isn't it? When things
factors.
Oh, sorry.
It's difficult to know.
Intermittent technological
an incoming call which I've had to dump, and now I can't hear you. I'm going to have to go and rejoin. I'll be 2 seconds.
Of course. There he goes. Intermittent Doc this morning. Superb. From a lay-by in Leiria. If it's not someone knocking on the window saying, "Hello, sir, what are you doing here?" It's someone ringing up. They've heard he's got all that money now. Okay. A hat trick of dad jokes. Gary, a little bit sore in our Viagra this morning. I don't think they are sawn off, Cole. They actually drop off. Well, thank you for that. You see, my Deagle loving the deer this morning. And you know what? I feel like my ignorance in so many departments. It's been a hat trick of dad jokes. It's been a hat trick of me not knowing stuff. At least 3 things. But this is what I put myself up for each and every morning. And I know I'm in good company. And you will gently guide me towards greater knowledge here. Erotic novel entry. He defensively told her that it may be small, but it's well formed. The old Good Morning Portugal audience. And let's see what happens now if we press this button. Hopefully the doc will miraculously appear from behind that. Oh, here he is. He's back now. We were talking about intermittent things, and you became intermittent yourself there.
I've been intermittent doc. Certainly people have started to use this as a dietary tool, and many have anecdotally reported success with it. I'm not sure that the evidence is there medically to back that up, or to say that it's bad for you. I mean, people have been fasting for much longer than a couple of days at a time, and the really popular thing at the moment is the 2-5 thing. So people have fasted for longer than 2 days as a religious or spiritual thing. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing in short bursts. I'm not sure it's not sure that the evidence is there that it's beneficial, but I don't think there's evidence that it's harmful at that level either. I think 40 days and 40 nights might be a problem. But I mean, some people say that I starve myself because I go days and days and sometimes weeks at a time with nothing except protein shakes, 600 to 800 calorie a day diet, and no solid food. But I know what I'm doing, and there is evidence for that actually. But absolutely starving yourself or fasting for long periods of time is probably not recommended.
You make a good point about how, in many ways, it reminds us of our good fortune and privilege, doesn't it? That we are in the industrialized habit of eating 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
And actually, I suspect that's probably not very good for you if you think about it, because we have these we've turned it into we've conditioned ourselves, haven't we, to make ourselves eat and force children to do the same at 3 times a day, whether we need it or not, whether we are motivated to or not. We've industrialized ourselves along with so many other things and rationalized ourselves into forcing food into our bodies, and we're quite out of touch with our own natural rhythms. So I'm certainly not a knocker of intermittent fasting, and I understand, and when it gets interesting and or difficult and possibly harmful, and like you say, you need to know what you're doing. I mean, does any of us really know what we're doing? But that moment when we haven't eaten for a while, and then your body starts to kind of eat itself, doesn't it? And there's a fancy phrase for that, isn't there, that I know a lot of fasters like to go for. And I suppose the caveat we should give is that don't do that whilst flying a jumbo jet or trying to live a normal life, because it can really affect you, right?
Yeah, certainly. So anything that you're going to do which is going to drastically change the way you feel, it's probably not a good thing to be doing that and then straight away going to do something important. If you ease yourself into it and you've been doing it for a long time, then probably you're okay flying a jumbo jet or driving an HGV. But if today is day 1 of your fasting, I wouldn't recommend either activity. No.
Okay, fascinating. I suspect others will have things to say about intermittent fasting, intimate fasting, and intermittent fasting this morning. A great question came in. First of all, this observation from George Carlin via T-Duck. Is it a bit unnerving that doctors call what they do practice? I'm sure you've heard that before. What do you say about that?
Well, the original meaning of the word was to use your skills, and the idea of practice to doing something in order to perfect it was merely a recognition that the more often you do something, then the better you get at it.
Yes.
So the original practice is to use your skills, and it was then turned into a word meaning to hone your skills. Of course, the two are the same.
And that's why people are quite concerned when the doctor looks about 15, right? Because they're thinking this person hasn't been practicing for very long.
Yeah, that's true. But then, of course, the idea is that doctors continue their medical education throughout their professional career, as is true of a number of professions. But you're never as in touch with the latest thoughts on the breadth of medicine as you are the day you leave medical school. So actually, young doctors often are better aware of the latest research, but they haven't necessarily practiced their art. And there is an art to medicine. They haven't necessarily practiced their art or their skills as long as older doctors. So there's something to be said for a combination, actually, of approaches. And that's why I would rather have a team composed of a doctor in his 50s and a doctor or her 50s and a doctor in his or her 20s than having one or the other.
Yes, and hence the new phrase in medicine, if this happens, your doctors will see you now. And you walk in and there's people of every age and level of experience available to you. What a luxury that would be. And I don't know if I've told you this story before. This happened to a friend of mine. He said he was at the doctor's, or he was in hospital. He was certainly under the supervision of doctors, and he was just in his gown. So I'm guessing he was hospitalized or had stripped down for an examination. And the doctor said, as I'm sure you've uttered from time to time in your career or have been part of, would you mind if I show this to my colleagues, because it will be of great interest to them? And in that situation, most people want to say yes, don't they? Because they feel a little bit sort of honoured and privileged that they might be part of medical history, or not history, hopefully. But and they said, okay, can you step this way? And he basically walked into a lecture theatre. It wasn't quite what he was expecting, but he went with it anyway.
That's not really informed consent, is it?
It's not really, but a great story to be able to tell. Okay, from that to how easy earlier on, and I thought we should ask this in your company, how easy is it to continue being a pescatarian in Portugal? I know you're a vegetarian, but it's easy. It's pretty good. I mean, we've come up with a few answers already to say. I think the prof said you're in the fish motherlode. Or you've hit the fish mother.
Absolutely. Our fresh produce market in Leiria, which has a number of shops, permanent stalls in it. Half of them are fishmongers.
Yes, very good, very good. Even in Leiria, because Jerry has this a beef about the further you go into Portugal, and this is true anywhere in the world, isn't it? The best fish, obviously, is by the ports and by the sea. Yeah. But Leiria, it's not. I mean, it's not on the coast by any means, is it? You're some way back, but you still.
It's half an hour from the coast. If I was landing a catch in at the nearest beach, apart from Marinha Grande, which is the largest town. But apart from Marinha Grande, Leiria would be the closest place to take my wares to.
Okay.
But actually Marinha Grande is a large hub as well, which is halfway between us and the coast. So, but Leiria has great fish. As I understand, I haven't eaten any, but Leona's a fan of fish, and guests that have come and had fresh fish from the market, very good.
There you go. SP, you should be fine. Raj is here. Good morning, Raj. Good to be here. Bon dia a todos. It's not the size, it's the commitment. Yes, that's true on so many levels, isn't it? It is a caring community, but also hits the fun button as well. I was saying how important context was earlier on, and when you see these comments, you have to reiterate that. Spot on, Michelle, says Cindy. I'm with you, Carl. I love the way it is, and I'm somewhat concerned what will happen when 1,000 people are watching live. Indeed, just like my friend when he went to the doctors. Jim White, bon dia a todos. Hey, Jim, morning. I prefer the small numbers here. Some live chats with a lot of people. The posts scroll up so fast you can't read them, and the host can't answer the questions. We do find ourselves in that situation sometimes.
My biggest concern when you have over 1,000 people watching is that anyone who asks questions after the first 5 minutes isn't going to get them answered.
It's true, isn't it? It's true.
There'll be a race to get the comments and posts in the
yeah, and then you have to do a show every day. Oh, we already do.
Every hour.
Right, proper right. But wow. Oh, another dad joke. What do you call? It's been a serious dad joke theme over these last few days, and I'm sure you're a purveyor of a few fine dad jokes yourself. So that would the collective noun is a murder of crows, isn't it? But what do you call two crows together? We will get the answer to that. And before we do, we should issue this warning for anyone of a delicate disposition.
Warning.
You have been warned there. You've been warned. Okay, we'll come back to that. Hippie slug. Yes, it will be a mess. Carl won't be able to read all the comments. And the Good Morning Portugal will last forever.
That'd be great.
It's eternity. Oh, here we go. What do you call two crows together? Attempting. Oh, we've already had the groan for that. Just to say that everyone on GMP has sent Philomena and her hubby a gift after her recent difficult times. Pete, thank you so much for that. You beat me to it there, but I'm so glad to hear that news, and we look forward to talking to Philomena again soon. So, yeah, when you speak, please do send lots of love. Keep sending love from us at the Good Morning Portugal community, and we look forward to seeing her again soon. Jim White, you and I are the only ones with all white beards. I didn't realize we had a competition. I've got a little bit of salt in my pepper here, but yes, it's true. There are some genuinely biblical white-bearded folk here among us. I've been loving my coffee and biscotti the past few days. Obrigado novamente from James to Carlos and Lisa there. Carl, watch a Stephen Wright video. His delivery is priceless. I could learn a thing or two there, I think. Pete, if you could explain to Moaz, Mr. Pascual hasn't been feeling very well. It was actually quite seriously ill, and they're on the road to a good recovery at the moment. But we need to support them, I think. Hicks is a wonderful and still uncomfortably funny comedian to listen to, says Prof. Eusebio. Did you like Bill Hicks, Doc? Are you familiar with his work?
I'm not familiar with him, no.
It's just a ride. It's just a ride, man. Stephen Wright is sublime. His presentation is deadpan. Okay, Ayn Rand. I'm going to say it because I thought you and Prof might like to talk about Ayn Rand. It's Atlas Shrugged, isn't it? The writer of Atlas Shrugged, pronounced Ian. Is that right? Ian Rand. I thought it was Ayn Rand. This has been your Philomena moment. It has. I've been so seriously schooled this morning. Ian Rand, then. Bon dia from COVID Central this morning. Sorry to hear that, Gary, and that news you sent me yesterday. Lots of love to you and all the family there. Those earthquakes were just my impact on Earth after consuming caffeine. They felt it in the Azores. Husband Paolo was really and is on a long road to recovery. I do love this community. Yes, thank you, Pete, for that update. Bill Hicks on marketing and advertising. Yes. Doc, you will like, I forgot about that. You will like Bill Hicks' view on marketers. It is steering. And when I have worked in marketing myself, and when I have worked in a big organization, I have wanted to play it to my marketing colleagues. Carl, don't forget Portugal, and especially the Azores in a seismic area. It's rare to feel an actual earthquake. Well, that's a relief. Because before you joined us, Doc, 1,800 tremors in the Azores over the weekend, I think, or in this last week. But only 100 discernible to human beings. But can you imagine being a little insect or some other life form?
No, better still. Did the earth move for you, honey?
Well, you can ask that with confidence, can't you? There are probably people booking flights to the Azores already, so they could say that. Bon dia, comrade. Andy, yay, from Michelle there. Quick bit of fisting this morning. And, my divorce came through last week too. Get a room or something, you two.
Party.
Yeah. Do we need a catch-up? Morning, Doc. Do we need a catch-up?
Oh, we do, yeah. So give me a call.
But there's a recipe idea. We do need a ketchup, don't we, often here in
Portugal? No, I'm not a fan of ketchup. The only reason for ketchup is to make baked beans, I think.
Okay, interesting. There are people here who love their ketchup, I'm sure. Hola, Doc, tudo bem? You won't be on the show again until after the 25th of April, so happy revolution.
Yes, indeed.
And I must get back to the wonderful woman who voiced those wonderful words, the thirst for freedom overcame all fears. And she will be because I was looking on YouTube, and when we had the guy from Shager talking a little while back, somebody suggested we have a panel, and they would be ideally matched for balance purposes one of these days when we talk again about Portuguese politics. So Sam enjoyed our difficulties earlier on, intermittent interruptions. Rare to find antlers in the woods. They are quickly consumed by insects and small animals. It's the circle of life. Isn't that good to know?
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't want to be tripping over antlers in the woods. You'll have to end up seeing the Doc if that happens. Nice to see you this morning, Doc. Looks like you have rolled the car. What's that? Because of when it went over on its side. We had you on portrait for a little. Okay, another dad joke. I'm on a seafood diet. I see food, so I eat it. Well, hey, I remember that from 70s comedians.
Yeah.
Hi, Owen from Victoria this morning. Any questions about Portugal, anybody? Glad to see it's raining in Leiria also. Sun trying hard to get through here in the Algarve. Breakfast in Carveiro right now. Look, he's back in the country. He can't stay away. So, Doc, you wouldn't recommend the new Gandhi fasting diet then? Well, it's quite a good way of making a political point, isn't it? But we were talking about something slightly different earlier on. Ew, protein shakes. Surely that's what you get as a prisoner, Doc?
Yeah. No, so the point about protein shakes is that I'm being vegetarian. It's the only way I can get a decent amount of protein without getting loads and loads of carbs.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I use it.
Okay. All right. More personal information here. Divorce related. Have been separated for years, but the desire to buy a property in Portugal pushed
Yes.
me to. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? I've been in this situation myself, and often, if you stay fairly friendly, you don't necessarily attend to the paperwork and the fine detail until something like this happens. You need to sort some money out, or a new partner comes along. I think that was the motivation once for me. Is I was with somebody who didn't like being with a married man, even though I wasn't still in the relationship, and
Yeah.
urged me to sort it out. So interesting, the sort of inspiration to finally dot the I's and cross the T's.
Well, Portugal won't let you have a mortgage in your own name if you're married.
Oh,
Even if you're buying the house solely in your name. They don't mind you buying a house in two names, but only one person being on the mortgage. It's bizarre, a very bizarre set of rules. But that was the real impetus, and it's only taken literally 3.5 months from contacting the solicitor in the UK and getting my decree absolute last week. Fantastic work, very, very cool.
Things have changed, haven't they, in the last 200 years? I imagine when you
400, even more. Henry VIII had a bit of a problem.
just thinking that, that's right. You don't have to start your own church anymore, do you?
No.
And you don't have to ransack monasteries or anything like that anymore. You can just go. I mean, I recommend
quick. You want, of course, but
most of them were done. But I recommend quickiedivorce.com online. It was amazing. If hundreds of years ago, or even a few decades ago, it would have been all the public shame, and there might have been a court appearance. I think with my parents, from a broken home, people had to go to court and go through some quite emotionally. I mean, as if it wasn't difficult enough, they went through the sort of public process of divorce. Didn't
my first divorce was like that. Horrible.
Amazing.
But this second divorce has been painless, really.
Yeah. So no rotten throat being thrown by friends of the other family.
No, not at all. Not at all. We had a bit of wrangling over it. The finances, but it only lasted a few weeks, and that happened just between me and my ex-wife, and it was all, we got it sorted, signed the papers, and there we are.
Just like being in a band. Yes, just wrangling over the name, isn't it? I find it very confusing when both intermittent fasting and frequent grazing are both strategies for losing weight. Yes, well said.
I mean, well, actually, I don't know, frequent grazing and intermittent fasting were both natural parts of our evolutionary heritage. Yes. We would go through times of there being lots of food around, and we were going through times of when there was very little around. And the thing about 3 meals a day, you're right. I think that the natural thing is to eat when you feel hungry, or when you feel the need to eat. And it's the industrialization of life, i.e., it's totally, bosses wouldn't be happy with workers going off the shop floor to go for an intermittent graze when they feel like it. So that's why there were meal times established. You ate before you went to work, so you weren't hungry during the morning. If you're lucky, were allowed a reasonable time off to top up during the middle of the day, and then you had to wait till you got off.
Wow. It only took 35 minutes to get to that political point connected to diet. But it's true, isn't it? Because we can plot this, can't we? And also on the matter of feasting, high days and holidays, feast when you can, in anticipation. I mean, some scallywags might say we're returning to those days at the moment. But in industrialization, the clever bosses sounded a horn when you could eat and stop working. They would put you in a subsidized canteen so you couldn't go anywhere else, and then sound another horn to get back to work. It's fascinating, isn't it? our species. Okay, you definitely don't want your surgeon saying, with a bit more practice, I think you'll finally be able to do this well. Oh, and Jean's here also from medicine. That's why they call it the practice of medicine, not the perfection. It takes time and experience. Sometimes, sadly, luck. Yes, worth remembering. They are human beings, you know. I hate to break it to anybody who wasn't expecting this morning, but the doctors and the professors and the consultants are all human beings, aren't they? With their own
even the ones who like to behave as if they weren't.
What, those ones, those godlike types that swan around?
Neurosurgeons mostly.
Oh, it's not brain surgery, is? Oh, it is actually. They are used to it, even though it doesn't happen very much. Over there in the Azores there, the last big one was on New Year's in 1980. Killed, 73 people. I was there 3 years and I might have felt one. And again, this says so much about us human beings, doesn't it? How we adapt, how we learn to live with things, how things are so much to do with context. If you never experienced a tremor, the first time you do, it's really disturbing, isn't it? If you live on the Azores, that happens all the time.
It's why the Californians are so at home here.
Yes, living with that constant threat, indeed. Doctor to patient, do you mind if I practice on you? Yeah, I think it's probably a better question to say, how are you today, isn't it? Okay. Oh, and you never want to be an interesting case. No. Okay. Run! If your doctor says, you're proving to be quite an interesting case, might be time for a second opinion. Ramadan is coming soon, and the Muslims fast from dawn to sunset. Personally, I don't think it's healthy because they don't drink water during the fast. Okay, so
I know I've had a number of Muslim friends, and number one, I've always been a little confused at the use of the term fasting, because it's not really fasting; it's just skipping a midday meal and pushing your breakfast forward to just before dawn and your evening meal to just after dusk. Having said which, I'm not meaning to denigrate that at all. It is a huge commitment to do that. But the size of the meals that some of my Muslim friends have eaten when they break their fast, it's really not healthy at all. And you're right, the not drinking water, it's crazy. Considering where the Muslim religion started, the idea that you could go a day without drinking water, let alone every day for a month, even if you are able to drink at night, it's just incredible.
Yes, a test of faith and of the body, by the sound of it there. Okay. Hippie Slug, pleased to see Jean. And I haven't fasted for Ramadan for quite a while, but I used to really love the experience. And this is very telling and interesting as well, isn't it? Like with any change, I suppose, isn't it? And any new thing you do, first and last week. Yes, because I guess the first week you're adapting. Last week you're seeing the finish line in sight, and you can't wait to get there.
Visions of huge meals.
Yeah, and you go, visions of huge meals, or you go shopping for that first meal. But the problem, of course, that would be such an assault on the body, wouldn't it? To have a massive and favorite meal, probably full of your favorite things. Go steady, maybe a bit of grazing to ease your way back into it. Stay hydrated, folks. Never had a problem getting fish in central Portugal. So there you go. Not a problem there for Prof. Eusebio. Doc, what do you think about, here we go. What do you think about Boris Johnson likening Brexit to the war in Ukraine? Okay, well, I shall just sit back for a moment then.
Totally crap. I mean, it's just, bollocks is the word.
Okay, all right. So you're going to leave it there. Okay, fair enough. Bon dia, todos. I mean, like that does about pretty much sum it up. Well done.
There's no argument. I mean, there isn't another side, is there?
It's just so not like him to say silly things. Bon dia, todos, to all of our new friends. Jean in the country as well, of course. I only knew it was Ramadan when CNN do a show on it, or when my sister calls me and reminds me with, call your father. Lapsed, I would say. Hashtag lapsed. Home after 3.5 hours. Starving. So an enforced fast there. And of course, breakfast, breaking the fast. Make a brekkie. Eggs, sausage, beans. Oh, and toast. No tomato. So yuck to that. It's not a British breakfast then. Safe travels, Carlos and Lisa, and welcome to Chris when he arrives from Jean. International sign for the dad joke. Yes, the forehead slap. People's foreheads will be red raw this morning. In a month in Tavira, I did not eat fish on 6 nights. What? Enjoyed the chili and chicken piri piri at the Black Anchor. Very good pizza a couple of nights too. Okay, so in a place of fish, but not partaking of the fish there. It's a great place to have fish. Cue fishy dad jokes. Counting down for our return to the US, but looking forward to returning to Portugal, says Carlos. I hope you can join us on Thursday. Yes, Pete's his feelings on Boris in the chat. Another bacalhau recipe has found its way into my fridge with chickpeas. Don't know what it's called, but looks delish. And that the chickpea part of that is going to be of interest to you there, Doc. Grau, are they
Grau, yeah.
Grau de Bica, are they? What chickpea recipes have you come up with? I mean, the chickpeas are great food, I think. Loved all over the world, loved by vegetarians, obviously. Have you got a Portuguese twist on that yourself?
No, not yet, not really. I mean, I've long enjoyed hummus, which of course is chickpeas.
Yes.
Chickpea curries, chickpea stews, chickpeas in salad. I mean, they're such a versatile thing. Ground chickpeas used for flour. That's gram flour.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. What do you call it? Bean, I suppose.
A pulse. A pulse. What if your you should know that, Doc. A pulse. What if your UK passport expires while you're living in Portugal? From Kathy Bow or Bohr there, but Kathy Bow I'm going to go with, or Boff. I don't know. From Kathy.
Boff, yeah, I think so. Okay, 2 answers. The first one is the glib one that says, "Oh well, you have to stay in Portugal," and the second is you renew it. If you go onto the gov.uk website, it's all laid out in great and very boring detail. But I think you have to go to the consulate in Lisbon to get your new one.
But you can just renew it online. You can get a new one online.
You can renew online. I'm not sure if you right. So there are circumstances in which you have to go to the consulate. It may be for a miner's passport, which was the only time we had to look at it and ended up actually getting it back in the UK. But yeah, you may be able to do it totally online if you're not a miner.
I'm not a miner. I'm not going to make that joke.
They're not really worse in the UK, to be fair.
Margaret Thatcher put pay to that. See what we did there. But I have renewed a passport online, and the problem I thought I was going to have, Kathy, is I'd have to go and drive and see the doc. Not that that's a problem, but the whole rigmarole of like, okay, Doc, can you sign the back of this tiny little photograph? That's after getting a photograph and going to a portraitist photographer, getting a photograph, cutting it out, taking it to the doc to sign on the back in fountain pen, which gets smudged, and then I have to go and get some more photographs, and then he signs. That's right. And then he signs in the box, "This is a true likeness, and he is an upstanding citizen. Pay me later." And he signs it outside the box, and all of that used to be a real nightmare, didn't it? And you must have had people coming to, I haven't seen you for a long time. What seems to be the trouble? Oh, nothing wrong with me, Doc. I just need my passport photo signing. Yeah,
absolutely. So a couple of things on that. Yes, I've been the subject of the ire of someone who needed a passport quickly and had the application returned because the bottom of my P in Thompson had just hit the edge of the border, and so that was they had to redo that. And the other thing was people used to complain about the signing fee, and I didn't charge the exorbitant amount that some of my colleagues did, but it's not just about the time it takes to sign the passport photo and form. It's about the risk you have of ending up embroiled in a passport services investigation because, unbeknown to you, your patient is doing illegal things around their passport application. And even without that, there are random checks when you get annoying phone calls in the middle of surgery by the passport office, who seem to think that you should be able to take the call there and then, to just say, oh, did you sign this person's passport photo? And you also have the cost of insurance against the need to be represented in a passport service investigation. So there's lots and lots of hidden costs around that, hence the fee.
What a nightmare. And I'm glad to say two things to you, Kathy. One is it's much more simple now, or it's much simpler. You can take your own photograph, and there's online software to check that it's a decent photograph. You don't have to have an upstanding member of, or even the doc, to verify the picture. And, it's so much easier. You pay your money and it gets delivered by a courier. I've done it successfully and I had a very good experience doing so, and it was much easier than I imagined. And the second moral of the story is never let a doctor put his pee on your passport forms, because that's what got that particular patient into trouble. Here we go, Moaz. I used to belong to a writing group from Rebel Mama, where we wrote poems each day for the month of Ramadan. That sounds lovely. That sounds like our vitality in action thing that we're doing. You know, the concerted effort and intention over successive days changes things, doesn't it? But I sort of gave it up. So you fasted. There's literary fasting there going on. Joao F is here, everybody. Great to see you, Joao F. And Alice O'Connor, born Alyssa Zinovyevna Rosenbaum, February 2nd. I don't know what that's all about. Is that some sort of contention about whether that was the actual date or not? Anyway, 1905 to March the 6th, 1982. Better known by her pen name, Ayn or Ayn Rand. I mean, I've always heard the name said as Ayn Rand, but Ayn Rand was Russian-born American writer and philosopher. And it's amazing what a context can do for you again, isn't it? And the sort of literature you create, if I can call it that. In Alabama, some hardcore Southern Christians aggressively threatened me, saying they didn't think my Jesus jokes were funny. So I just said, well, then forgive me. Is that true? Oh, it's a Bill Hicks line there. It's nice to have introduced Bill Hicks into the mix. A Bon Dia Chocolate Festival in Obidosh. Antonio Tordinov, thank you very much for that reminder. I have to say your hair looks beautiful in that photograph. Hair I can only dream of having myself now, having been to the barbers yesterday. But you look fabulous in that picture. And I think, well, anyway, we need to compare hairdressing notes there. Anyone going to the chocolate festival in Obidosh? I think a few people are now, Antonia. Yeah. And now you mentioned that's a great idea. And of course, the chocolate cups. Doc, what are they filled with at Obidosh?
I don't know. Ginger, hopefully, well, but I don't know.
You do know. You so know. That is absolutely right. So you drink the cherry liqueur, and then you eat the cup. That's ecological as well as drunken and delicious. Cooked cod with potatoes and chickpeas. That's a traditional cod recipe. There you go. Thank you very much for your recipe tips this morning. Da Costa Diogo is here. Oi, bon dia, Portugal. Feliz Novo dia. Enjoy it. All the best from England, from our mate Diogo over there. I had a bacalhau dish that was served over a mashed chickpea concoction that was absolutely delicious. Ooh, mashed chickpeas. I can almost taste that. Question for Doc. What are a couple of your favorite restaurants in Portugal? Yes, Doc, from that vegetarianish angle, please.
So there's the Everest Indian restaurant in Portugal, in Leiria. And there's a very nice, but I can't remember the name of, very basic but really good restaurant in Coimbra. And there's another restaurant in Leiria, a veggie vegan restaurant whose name escapes me as well. I'm really sorry. I just go and eat. I never remember the names of the restaurant. And of course, there are so few of them that you don't need to distinguish them by their names, because you just say, I'm going to that vegetarian restaurant in the rear, and everyone knows where you
So there you go. Are you a vegetarian, Chris? And I think we'll have other restaurant recommendations.
Oh yeah, I mean there are, if you know where to look, there are vegetarian restaurants and restaurants that do really good vegetarian options,
Yes,
which
indeed.
are much more common than vegetarian restaurants. But they're all over Portugal if you know where to look.
Yeah, okay. And ask in the forum. Say where you're going. Ask for restaurant recommendations. Talking to the forum, recently on the forum, we have these amazing threads that have begun on the forum. What does it mean in Portugal real estate? T1, T2, T3. Renovating older property. Upcoming webinar. Your questions, please. Habitation or not. Offer accepted. Direct sale. Now, what? That's the fourth. These aren't one thread. These are multiple threads over at expatsportugal.com/community. Transporting anxious cats from the middle of the US. Use of NIF in everyday life. Oh, yes. And moving to New York City, from New York City to the Algarve region in September. Panic over driving license. T-Duck, you can help with that. And buying a car as a non-resident. All of those over on the forum for you. How cool is that? And ask for your restaurant recommendations there, Chris, as well. He said to her, "You remind me of my second wife." She asked, "Oh, really? How many times have you been married?" He flirtatiously replied, "Once." Hey!
Very
And
good.
more divorce tips. You can always marry a lawyer. Mine went through in a few weeks. They can act that fast if they need to. Did mine online, no solicitor. It may be quickiedivorce.com. And it's a real thing. I wasn't joking about that. I actually used quickiedivorce.com years ago. No solicitor, 500 quid for government application fee. Works fine if you don't fight over assets or kids. Yeah, no fighting, please. I'm not divorced, says Doug. I could only ever find one person nutty enough to live with me. She's the patron saint of suffering. Yes, to you, Mrs. Hughes, this morning. We feel your pain. Eat when you're hungry and stop before you feel full. Would you agree with that, Doc? You'll feel full in 10 or so minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And actually, satiation is not just linked to the amount you eat, but also to the content of what you eat.
Yes.
So the lack of essential fatty acids in our foods, particularly omega-3 and omega-6, contributes to not feeling full for very long. And Chinese food, unfortunately, is prone to this for a reason I can't quite recall. But I used to know the physiological reason. But it's very interesting.
Okay, yeah, and it's been changed, of course. It's all to do with commerce, isn't it? I think the original Chinese banquet wasn't about a lot of food. It was about different types of food and not food combining in one meal on a plate. So you'd have cleansers and you'd eat your carbs separately to your veg, and the intestinal transit times and stuff were observed. But we've forgotten all of that in these crazy times we live in, haven't we? And I do like this, Hippie Slug, James. Smaller portions and mindful eating is a great strategy for healthy weight control. I need your help here, Doc. I want to give up sugar. And I've got a bit of a backstory for this, but after I came out of the barber's yesterday, I went and did a bit of shopping that I'd been sent out to do in the first place on an errand. And I bought myself some of these little round biscuits. I can't remember, they've got a really nice little name in Portuguese, but I bought a Spanish pack, and I'm going to show you the packaging, which is quite rude. And as well as bad marriages and bad winds coming from Spain, it looks like bad language comes from Spain as well, because this is an actual advertising campaign that's come over on these Spanish biscuits that I'm about to show you. This is outrageous, especially when the children, you give this packet of biscuits to the children, and then they say, What's this on my packet of biscuits, Mum or Dad? So let me just bring that onto the screen for you now. You don't have to read this out and fill in the blanks, Doc. I'm just showing this for the illustration of the medical advice I'm about to look for. Look at that in a shop in Portugal. That's the packaging. I can't believe it. And I thought they wouldn't do this in Portugal. It's Spanish biscuits. And do you know what? I didn't panic eat, but whatever it is called, gluttony is what it's called. I pretty much ate the whole packet on the way home in the car. And then I started on some other chocolate biscuits later yesterday, and I felt sick, not surprisingly. And I think it's because there was some aspartame or something horrible it wasn't just sugar. There was some other sugary taste like xylitol or something in there. And I thought, I'm going to sugar fast during the week. Would you recommend that? Are there any medical indications I should be aware of if I give up eating processed sugar and confections during the week, Monday to Friday?
No, you absolutely should do that. And, sugar rushes are not just something that kids experience. We all experience the heightened energy immediately after a sugar rush, and then being bombed out when it runs out.
Oh, yes.
It's not good for your weight. It's not good for your pancreas. The whole thing's bad. So yeah, cut them out. Stevia is a great plant, and it was banned for a long time because of the political control of the sugar industry. Thankfully, they've been neutered, or their political weight has been neutered to a certain extent, and stevia is now widely available and is starting to find its way into products on shelves, and is a much more healthy alternative.
Very good. And of course, honey, but I think that should be consumed mindfully. Poor little honeybees. Yeah. The amount of work they go to bring you your honey, it's worth being mindful of and joyous when you eat honey. And I hear honey becomes toxic when you put it into the hot water of a drink. I need to research that further. I heard that the other day. Yeah, interestingly. But okay, I'm going to do that. Thank you very much for that. I mean, the sugar, the whole history of sugar is a filthy business, isn't it? I'm glad to hear they have been neutered to some extent. Putting out your cigarette does not constitute quitting smoking. Well, it does in that moment, to be fair. I say how much younger you're looking this week. Is it the shakes? As in the protein shakes. What's been your secret that you're not sharing with us, Doc?
Well, there are two things. First of all, I had a shave last night, so the more recently I've shaved, the younger I look. But yeah, I have lost a bit of weight as well. I'm back on the shakes and not eating very much, except when Alicia's friend cooks brownies, and they are totally impossible to resist. But
yes.
apart from that, I'm doing very well.
Yeah, you sound and feel it as well, may I say. You used to break their fast with water and dates at Ramadan, a few minutes with soup, then a small meal. Yes, exactly. But people had more time, didn't they? And more mindfulness, you might say, without calling it mindfulness. It's not like this anymore. Nothing's like nostalgia ain't what it used to be. I've heard getting parcels from overseas to Portugal is a bit of a nightmare. Any suggestions? Kyoto flavor, what a lovely name. Yes, you're right, depending on the carrier. Go on, Doc, what's your experience?
DHL's very good. The normal post is horrendous. CTT's custom clearances are the worst institution in Portugal except for IMT.
Oh my word! Okay. Searing criticism there. And although we don't like in many ways to advertise Amazon, and we want to give the business to local companies, they do a pretty good job, it has to be said, of delivering things if you can't get them anywhere else. But yeah, it is a bit of a nightmare. And it does depend on where it's coming from. And there are particular problems, Kyoto flavor, with after Brexit, post-Brexit, in getting things across customs from the UK. So if you can buy it in Portugal, do, for all sorts of reasons. Obviously, some things you can't. Try a test. I would say it's a bit like moving currency around. Send a test parcel. Don't send family heirlooms or unique items for the first one. Check it and find the most reliable carrier. Okay, apparently you can't renew your passport in Lisbon at the embassy if you are a Brit anymore. Okay, coming back from Copenhagen, the border guard thought it would be a good idea to damage my passport. It cost me money to replace it. And I'm not going to say what Chris called him. And how did they do that? Were they looking for something hidden inside it? I've heard getting past. Oh, we've done that one. At Kyoto, I hope that helped. Portuguese post, to answer your question, is just awful. It's an experience somewhat similar to urinating in a gale. What a poetic turn of phrase. To think there were new trousers being sent in the package in question. Bom dia, alegria todos. Saudações ensolaradas da Bélgica. Jeannie, where have you been? It's so lovely to have you back here. I was talking about you the other day on Facebook. About drinking and smoking, I can't help remembering Winston Churchill's words. I remember them well. You and me, João F.A., sitting around the wireless back in the 1940s. I haven't taken much more out of cigars and alcohol than they have taken out. I have taken, let me do that again. I'll edit that later. I have taken much more out of cigars and alcohol than they have taken from me. Do you want to do that in your finest Churchillian impersonation, Andy?
Oh God, no! I never want to impersonate Churchill. No, sorry.
Or as he would say, never, never. Warning. It's that time of year again when the fraudsters are sending HMRC tax refund emails. Don't open them. Stay safe online. Thank you for that, Chris. That can happen any time of year, but it sounds like it's the season. And when is the chocolate festival, please, in Obidosh? I think the check for this weekend, just listening to Billy Preston, the fifth Beatles singing My Sweet Lord on the Song for George concert. Great. However, I'm thinking of changing the words to My Sweet Portugal. Well, we look forward to the performance of that. Chocolate Fest is this Saturday. Antonio, thank you so much for mentioning that. Great to have you here this morning. Rebel Mama, here's my Ramadan poem. Damn, it's Ramadan. No curry and naan for me. Time for Eid to Ramadan. From Ramadan to Ramadan. And eat my grub with glee. Pam Ayres, needn't worry, right? But thank you so much, Dougie, for that. The new poet laureate in some awkward territory there. But he's no stranger to that. The best way to avoid divorce, don't get married, said the vicar to the potential bride. Oh, come on. We've got to, like we were talking about learning from mistakes earlier on in the show. That's the way to look at it. Spent some time trying to figure out if I could, not that many mistakes, spent some time trying to figure out if I could make pipe tobacco incense. What's going on now? He's been on the coffee. Just received my new stove. So the post did a good job of that by the sound of it. Remodeling my kitchen while the hub is away. He knows about it, but hates to be involved in my projects. Ta-da! Superb. 2 minutes past 10. Let's crack on. Top tip for increasing your omega-3 is to eat pondweed fed turkeys. I may know a source. Okay, thank you for that.
I buy the algal oil. So
algal oil. There we go. Yes. All right, and so thank you, Jean, for your encouragement. I gave up processed sugar for years, many years ago. Ate more, but with no sugar, and lost weight. It's really a challenge, though. It's true, isn't it? There is sugar in almost everything, and Portuguese culture. That's why I'm going to do it at the weekend. I'm going to enjoy it, but not every day, which really challenged sharing meals with others as well. So that's interesting, James. Thank you for that. Yeah. Michelle's had enough. Bye, lovelies. The sugar lobby is strong and prohibits any negative publicity. It's not the only industry to be up to those sorts of tricks. Yes, stevia has been a wonderful substitute for sugar for me. Thank you, James, for that. Looking to connect with families created through adoption, please. Antonia, please go to the forum, expatsportugal.com/community. We will do all our best, all we can to help you in the best possible way. Too distracted by GMP, forgot to heat the beans. Some people like them cold. Put maple syrup on my sausages. Bam. And now a Canadian. Erotic novel entry. He drizzled Canadian maple syrup on his sausage. Write that down, James. Velia, that is Marisqueira Praça Velia. I think that is a restaurant recommendation. And that's what happens when you get the comments out of order, Carl. It is. And that happens every morning. Thank you so much for sending me all those comments this morning to me and the doc. We've had a lovely chat this morning. And what was that? Thanks for the reminder. What was that about? Anyway, Ramadan maybe. Just for the record, Carl, I remember Churchill's words because I read them. I wasn't even born when he said those things. How old do you think I am? All right, calm down, Grandad. Only kidding. Only kidding. Oh, it's a joke, Joe F. We're still buddies. Let's talk to each other on WhatsApp and soothe any controversy I may have created with you there. Doc, thank you so much. How's it looking for the rest of the day? We did say earlier on that we would look at the weather. How's your day looking today?
Very wet, very grey. I suspect I'm going to be sat in the chair doing some coding.
Oh, wow. Okay. 15-degree high in Faro today. 14 the high and rain in Coimbra. 16 the high and rain in Porto. 55 degrees in the Fahrenheit. 13 in centigrade in Lisbon and raining today. Raining for, well, the next 2 days in the capital. In Porto, there's a let-up tomorrow. In Coimbra, it's raining today and not tomorrow, but it'll be back on Friday. And in Faro, it's raining today and tomorrow and Friday. So wait for the weekend for better weather in Faro. I don't know where you are, Margaret, but there's your weather report for you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see you tomorrow with Vitor Costa from the north of Portugal. Cheers, Doc. Keep on practicing.
Yeah.
Last word to you, my friend.
Yeah, stay off the sugar and eat when you want.
There you go. Ciao, ciao for now. Bye-bye.